And so I think from a parental standpoint, I know I have an 11-year-old daughter. Sometimes kids, they fuss, and as we say, they yeah back and forth. Bullying is a totally different story. I mean, bullying is when it impedes a kid's ability to learn.
According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, 1 out of every 5 students reports they've been bullied, and 33% of students who reported being bullied in school say they were a victim of it once or twice a month during the school year. Tiffany Thompson with our sister station WGXA sat down with one Georgia State Board of Education member to find out how he plans to protect your children.
Jason Downey says bullying isn't something new.
When I was in school, you got bullied, but you got bullied when you were in school, and then you went home and you got a reprieve from it.
But he says the way children are being bullied has changed.
Now we have 24-hour bullying because of social media, and it's very difficult to monitor that.
Downey says stopping bullying is one of his priorities now that he's on the State Board of Education.
Give kids a good environment in which to flourish and learn, and kids should have an expectation they can come to school and learn and not be bullied, not be picked on.
But Downey says there's a difference between bullying and just not getting along.
But to that end, I think that there are a lot of parents that want to throw the word bullying around all too quickly, and I think sometimes it could be tween and teen drama that kids need to deal with on their own. People and kids are learning how to develop their personalities, and not everybody gets along.
Downey says if a child is being disruptive, he wants them removed from the school. He says he would do this with either in-school or out-of-school suspension. And if problems continue, talking with that family about another alternative is what he would do. A new study shows teen suicide is on the rise. New at 10, we're working for you with the reasons why and why it could affect girls more than boys.
Kids have a lot more to worry about than homework these days. 15-year-old Jaden Smith says depression is one of the biggest concerns in his high school.
I have a few friends who actually try and hide it and don't want to express themselves.
He tells me 2 of his classmates took their own lives last year, and he has friends dealing with depression even now.
I'm dealing with a girl. She's having a hard time managing it, and she'll usually kind of push me away sometimes.
A new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association reports over 40 years, the rates of suicide for girls ages 10 to 14 increased about 13% compared to the 7% in boys the same age.
Girls do appear, based on research, to have more negative consequences from bullying and cyberbullying, and that's a major stressor for kids this age.
Dr. Kyle Johnson, a professor who studies child-adolescent psychiatry, says girls suffer depression and anxiety at a higher rate than boys. He adds kids are using social media at a younger age, and that could be a contributing factor. Jaden says what's made a difference with his friends is having someone reach out.
Your friends can benefit more than you actually think, and, usually when they know you're going through that, they're much more understanding than you think.
Here's another look at the GDOT traffic cam off of I-75 at US 280. It's a nice night if you're traveling out across the roadways. Still warm across parts of southwest Georgia tonight as well. Most places just seeing the upper 70s. A few neighborhoods still holding on to the 80s. 80 right here in the Good Life City. Over to our eastern neighborhoods, 80 in Ocilla. That's the same down in Pearson. The warm spot this evening in Douglas, 81 degrees. Elsewhere, we're seeing those temperatures in the upper 70s. It looks like the cooler neighborhoods to our extreme south and west seeing those 78s. As you're heading out the door tomorrow, still holding on to a school day for some of us, 74 degrees at the bus stop. Warming into the low 90s by lunchtime. As we head into the evening, make sure you're drinking plenty of water for those after-school activities. Temperature near 5, still are in the low 90s. I think tomorrow's high will get up to around 94 degrees. In just a few moments, we'll talk about the record-setting heat across the country and really right here in the southwest, especially in southwest Georgia. We'll take a look at when we may see some more rain in the forecast. Plus, we'll take a look at the tropics and take another look at Andrea, who's developed in the Atlantic Ocean.
Dougherty County seniors will walk across the stage and receive their high school diplomas at graduation this weekend. And with many graduation parties being celebrated outdoors, the Department of Public Health says it's extremely important to limit your time outdoors because of the heat. District Health Deputy Director Brenda Green says it's a good idea to stay in the air conditioning as much as possible. If you must be outside, Green recommends drinking plenty of water and seeking out shade. She also says it's a good idea to wear light, loose-fitting clothing as much as possible.
We know that many of the graduation robes are those dark colors. So as soon as they can get that robe unzipped and off after the ceremony, that will be important to do. Sometimes you see kids taking their pictures with their graduation robe unzipped. This is the year and the time to do it.
If you're feeling abnormal, dizzy, nauseous, have a bad headache, or your pulse is pounding, Green says these are signs that you're getting too hot. And if your symptoms are serious, she recommends calling 911 and getting medical attention. Powerful storms swept through the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, leaving flooded roads and a lot of damage. This follows a series of tornadoes that touched down in that state and others last night. At least 19 tornadoes swept through central Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and Arkansas, carrying warnings of considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles with the possibility of complete destruction. There have been no reports of fatalities as of noontime today. And the Tulsa Fire Department says a man ended up trapped in his home after the storms hurled a tree into the structure. The man had just got his family to safety when that tree came down, trapping his arm underneath debris.
I'm told that his neighbor is the one that heard the noise and heard him hollering for help and called 911.
That man was taken to an area hospital for treatment. No word on his current condition. Parts of northeast Oklahoma saw more than 7 inches of rain because of the storms, causing severe flooding. Several schools in the area canceled classes for the day because of the weather, and a number of flights were canceled at Tulsa International Airport, where a confirmed tornado was spotted nearby. Well, a new study reveals that CBD products may play a significant role in treating opioid addiction in the future. Researchers took a closer look at 42 adult men and women who all had a history of heroin use for over a decade. Half of the group were given CBD products daily over the course of 2 weeks. The other half were given a placebo. Researchers found that the group that received CBD reported having reduced cravings for opioids and even felt less anxiety when they were presented with pictures that displayed drug usage. Researchers hope that these products can join the already available medications on the market to treat opioid addiction. Right now, restaurants, coffee houses, and bars in Georgia that once rushed to offer CBD-infused items are pulling back after a warning from the state's agriculture commissioner. CBD is a non-intoxicating compound found in hemp and marijuana. Touted as a treatment for a variety of ailments, CBD had been making its way into products ranging from lattes to sparkling water. Well, a new state law allows CBD oil sales and hemp farming, but state officials recently warned that federal rules prohibit adding CBD to food or beverages because it has not been cleared by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. In February, we reported that the Harp and Bowl Bistro in Macon was adding CBD in some of their smoothies and acai bowls. Well, they stopped after the Georgia Department of Health said it's not an approved food additive under FDA guidelines. Deputies there also warned Macon businesses earlier this month that they can only sell CBD oil, not other parts of the hemp plant. An update tonight, it's taking some time to secure a public testimony from Special Counsel Robert Mueller regarding the Russia probe. Sources familiar with the matter say that's because Mueller's team is hesitant about him speaking in front of the House. He stayed silent for the nearly 2 years as he led the investigation, but now Democratic lawmakers insist on hearing his side after learning he had concerns about how Attorney General William Barr summarized the investigation's findings. One option is to have Mueller testify behind closed doors. Attorney General William Barr told the Wall Street Journal last week that it's Mueller's call whether he wants to testify. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler, a New York Democrat, says Mueller needs to testify publicly and that he will subpoena if necessary. Year after year, the federal government's watchdog comes out with a report that shows how our tax dollars are wasted and provides suggestions for how to put an end to that waste. Sinclair National correspondent Christine Frizzell brings us a closer look at those findings.
Tens of billions of dollars wasted cleaning up nuclear waste. Hundreds of millions blown making copies at the Department of Defense. The price tag of these and many other examples of improper payments to you, the taxpayers, according to a new report from the Government Accountability Office, $151 billion just in 2018.
The fact that the federal government issues improper payments totaling more than 10 times the entire New Hampshire state budget is really staggering and obviously unacceptable to all of us.
Nearly every government agency is on the government watchdog's list, from the Department of Agriculture to the U.S. Mint. Congress has taken some action, like a new bill that aims to stop payments to dead people, a result of their deaths not being reported to many government agencies.
The Social Security Administration, which has this database, it recently said there were over 6.5 million Americans that were older than 112. That's just not the case. But obviously, a lot of folks who have deceased are still receiving inappropriate payments.
The biggest offenders in terms of not addressing or only partially addressing actions recommended by the GAO, the Departments of Defense, Health and Human Services, and the Internal Revenue Service. In many cases, they ignored suggestions on how to improve for years.
Why is it that it's so hard for agencies to do this?
Yeah, well, it's in some cases they need new systems to be able to do it, and it takes a while to develop those systems. Sometimes they're not convinced.
Lawmakers say they hope new laws and better oversight will convince them and usher in a new era where wasteful spending is the exception and not the rule. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell.
Tonight's question of the day is, do you trust the way the government spends your tax dollars? You can vote by visiting our website, wfxl.com/question.